What is up, everyone? My name is Jack Saffel, back again with another WrestleMania review, and today I'm here with my WrestleMania 14 review, the night which many people consider the birth of the Attitude Era, and of course the night where the Austin Era begins. So this show took place in the FleetCenter in Boston, Massachusetts. The DX band at the start, this was actually cut out of the network version, but apparently the DX band performed a really shit rendition of the American National Anthem, and JR and the King were on commentary for tonight, which they did a great job of. We kick things off with a 15-team Battle Royal, and I believe the winner of this match got to face the Tag Team Champions the next night on Raw. So it was two teams of Los Barricas, which was the first team was made up of Savio Vega and Miguel Perez Jr., and the second team was made up of Jose Estrada Jr. and Jesus Castillo. We had the Truth Commission, Bradshaw and Chains, two Nation of Dominations teams. First one was Farouk and Kama Mustafa, and the other one was D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry. We had the Quebecers, Rock and Roll Express, the New Midnight Express with Jim Cornette in his corner, the Headbangers, Too Much, Disciples of Apocalypse, Steve Blackman and Flash Funk, the Godwins, and the returning Legion of Doom, or as they were now known as LOD 2000. They were all like semi-futuristic and that kind of shit, with Sunny in their corner, which she looks great in that outfit. So many teams were thrown out throughout the match until it came to the final four, which were the Godwins, LOD 2000, New Midnight Express, and Disciples of Apocalypse. So Disciples of Apocalypse were eliminated by the Godwins, but they would throw them out of frustration. And so the Godwins would hit LOD with the buckets to help out the New Midnight Express. And so both Hawk and Animal clotheslined both members, which I think were like Bart Gunn and Bob Holly under different names. And they would clothesline them out of the ring to win the match. So yeah, LOD 2000 wasn't my favorite rendition of the Legion of Doom. Obviously, I'm much more of a fan of their like NWA, WCW, hell, even some of their earlier WWF stuff. But yeah, it was nice to see Sunny out there because she just looked nice in general. But yeah, LOD was during this time was at a pretty weird stage. I remember later on in 1998, they had this storyline where like Hawk was like suicidal and Droz wanted to be a member of LOD, and Droz was like saying, "Oh, Hawk, don't jump off the Titantron," and all that shit. And so Droz goes to help him out, but then he pushes him off the Titantron and like tries to basically kill him. Like, fucking Attitude Era was crazy, man. It was a crazy time period. So they showed off the DX public workout at the Government Center, which was the infamous moment where someone threw a battery at Shawn Michaels' head and he got pissed off, as he should be. I mean, I'd be fucking pissed if someone threw a battery in my head. And he walked out, basically, and the little segment was in trouble until he came back into the ring so he could do the humiliation of Stone Cold, so we can get that nice picture shot for all the newspapers and all the magazine covers and all that stuff. So, and they also show Stone Cold on the Reggie and Kathy Lee show, and some of the superstars having a VIP dinner. So your basic, WrestleMania weekend type thing. So the next match was for the Light Heavyweight Championship. This was basically WWF's attempt at a cruiserweight division, because WCW had experienced a lot of success at the time with their cruiserweight division. They had guys like Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Rey Mysterio, those type of guys. So they said, fuck it, let's have our own division, and they called it the Light Heavyweight Division. Didn't exactly last too long. I don't think it was that memorable. But the match was Taka Michinoku, famous Japanese wrestler, taking on Aguila, who was a Mexican wrestler. And so he hits a flying moonsault to the outside, and then Taka dives from the top rope to land a flying crossbody on him. So Aguilar hits a corkscrew plancha to the outside. So yeah, lots of flips and crazy stuff. It was actually a really damn good match. So there was a Hanakan Runner that was reversed into a sit-out powerbomb by Taka, and he missed a moonsault. So Aguila gets caught in midair with a drop kick, and Taka hits a Michinoku driver to retain the championship. Really fun match. That was a really cool match to see. At this time period, especially in the WWF, you weren't seeing that many wrestlers in the company doing that type of like super flipping, high flying type stuff. I mean, the WCW audience had definitely seen it, but for the WWF audience, this was like something they hadn't really seen that much of before. So yeah, that was really a really cool match, I will say. And so we get an interview with Jennifer Flowers, and she's interviewing The Rock. And then she mentions, and I got kind of freaked out when she said it, because she's like, so how would you run the country if you were president? Which I was like, holy shit, because Dwayne The Rock Johnson apparently legitimately wants to go for presidency in 2020, I think. So if that isn't fucking foreshadowing right there, I don't know what is. So he also utters for the first time in the interview, if you smell what I'm cooking. So that would become The Rock's most popular catchphrase, basically. So a bit of a history-making interview there, considering where things turn out in the future. After that was the European Championship match between Triple H and Owen Hart. So 2 weeks ago on Raw, Chyna and Triple H went after Owen's injured leg. I believe Triple H had mocked Owen and the Hart family after Brett got screwed out of the Survivor Series match the previous year. So Owen was a babyface in this match, which is really weird to see because I'm so used to Owen being a heel. So Triple H comes out to the DX band playing an instrumental version of the DX theme song. They would also come out and play later in the night when Shawn Michaels comes out with the words and everything. And so the commissioner of the World Wrestling Federation, Sergeant Slaughter, was handcuffed to Chyna to avoid any interference. So Owen Hart goes right after Triple H with a flurry of offense, and then the two worked a very solid back and forth match between each other. And so during the end of the match, Chyna blinded Slaughter with some powder, and then low-blowed Owen Hart. Triple H hits the pedigree to retain the European title, and after the match, Chyna basically assaulted Slaughter, throwing him into the guardrail and all that stuff. So yeah, pretty solid match overall, I will say. Triple H and Owen Hart did work very well with each other here, and of course Triple H was a big player in the next year or so with D-Generation X, especially after when Shawn Michaels would leave after this show and he would take over to become the leader of D-Generation X. So yeah, 98, pretty big year for the game. So after that, we have a mixed tag team match. Marvelous Marc Mero and Sable taking on the artist formerly known as Goldust and Luna Vachon. So during this time, Marc Mero was trying to get over, but just nothing. The fans didn't care about him. The fans just loved Sable because she was really sexy. The fans just kind of connected with her, and she was definitely taking a bit of the spotlight from Marc Mero, and Marc got a little bit jealous that Sable was more popular than him, basically. So Mero even tried to get Goldust to dress up as her so he can get the attention back on him. However, he turns on him alongside Luna Vachon, setting up this mixed tag team match. So Sable was basically the only babyface in this match, and she was super over with the crowd. So anytime she would get the tag, Luna would try to run away or tag in the other person, but when Sable was finally able to get her hands on Luna, she hit the Sable Bomb for the first time and even hit Marc's TKO move to get the win. And then Mero celebrated like he had got the pin. In the next few months, Sable would eventually walk out on Marc Mero and basically just leave him in the dust, as she should have. Like, I remember when Marc Mero told Sable to come out in like a potato sack to make sure she doesn't expose herself to any of the fans, and then she takes it off and it's like a really revealing bikini underneath, and he kind of freaks out. It was really funny, man. After that was the Intercontinental Championship match. It was The Rock with Mark Henry, D'Lo Brown, and Mustafa in his corner, taking on Ken Shamrock. Tennessee Lee, who was in WCW at the time as like Colonel whatever the fuck, introduces Jeff Jarrett and Jennifer Flowers into the ring. She was the special ring announcer for this match because 2 weeks ago on Raw, The Rock attacks Ken with a steel chair, even asking, and like he was even kneeling on the ground and asking Rock, yeah, hit me, you son of a bitch, I bet you don't have the guts to. And so Rock just grabs the steel chair and just slings that son of a bitch like it's nothing and just cracks him over the head with the chair. And so a week later, he half-assed, like, accidentally hits Farouk with the steel chair during one of his matches. So Shamrock goes right after the Rock as soon as it starts, as they fight to the outside, and he gets smacked in the face with a steel chair when the ref gets knocked down, although that wasn't enough to take down Ken Shamrock, as he locks in the ankle lock to win, or so we thought, because Shamrock just refused to let go of the ankle lock. He even started body slamming Mark Henry and Farouk, and referees and officials even got slammed. He was on a rampage, basically. Rock had blood dripping down his mouth and all that, and because of that, the referee reversed the decision and the Rock won by disqualification. Now, this is a DQ victory that I'm actually not mad at, because it makes sense. Ken Shamrock is he's in a state, he's like the Hulk. He turned into the Incredible Hulk. He was Bruce Banner when he walked in, but then later on he just turned into the Incredible Hulk. So he was enraged at the referee's decision, so he goes after the Rock. He's getting carried out on a stretcher, and he fights him around the DX band stage, and yeah, it was a pretty cool match, and I liked how that showed off Ken Shamrock's character as just an unstoppable beast that could easily kick anybody's ass, and but it also kept the Rock's Intercontinental title, so everything was all good in the end. So I will have to say, a decent match overall. Another very fun match was a dumpster match for the WWF Tag Team Championships. It was the New Age Outlaws, Badass Billy Gunn and Road Dogg Jesse James, defending against Cactus Jack, aka Mick Foley, and Chainsaw Charlie, aka Terry Funk. So, 2 months prior on Raw, Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie had a bit of a hardcore match, and there was a spot where on the stage, Cactus Jack jumped off the Titantron into a dumpster where Terry Funk was in, and so they're both in the dumpster, and then the New Age Outlaws show up. They close the lids of the dumpster, they tie it shut, and these madmen fucking push them off the stage. By the way, the stage is a good couple of feet off the ground, ground level, and they just push them off. And I loved JR's commentary on it, where he's like, "Good God, there's people in there! What's so damn great about that?" I also loved the comment where he's like, "Oh, I hope there's not some idiot out there that says, well, they learn how to fall." He would always say that during the time in the Attitude Era, because that was when everyone was saying, "Oh, wrestling is fake, right?" and all that type of shit. So, yeah. As for the match itself, it was a very fun match. I really enjoyed it. So, Cactus went to hit an elbow on Road Dogg, a top rope elbow. He missed and just slammed into the dumpster, which was kind of funny, but also would really hurt. They would use various weapons on each other throughout the match, and Road Dogg hit Charlie with a tray, which causes him to inadvertently push Cactus Jack and Billy Gunn off of a ladder as they both land into the dumpster. So Charlie gets powerbombed into it, while Cactus Jack fights with the New Age Outlaws into the backstage area, and they fight around there. They throw those things to hold trays, and they just chuck them on Cactus Jack. And Mick Foley then uses the double underhook DDT on both members onto a plank of wood on top of the end of a forklift. And so Chainsaw Charlie picks him up with the forklift and just dumps them into a dumpster backstage. They close the lid shut, and they win the WWF Tag Team title. So yeah, great match, I will say. It was a very fun match, and I've got no complaints there. The storyline was simple, but it was effective. So basically, they get their revenge on New Age Outlaws, which, you know what? Fine by me. It was a damn good match. And then after that, we get The Undertaker versus Kane, with Paul Bear in Kane's corner. And boy, this storyline is a fucking doozy. Let's just Let me just say that. So, alright, let's see how short I can make this storyline. So, Paul Bear had basically warned The Undertaker for months about how his brother Kane, your brother Kane is coming. And this thing was, when Kane and Undertaker were brothers, and Kane supposedly died in a house fire when they were kids. Apparently Undertaker set fire to the house, killed his parents, apparently killed Kane, which would end up not being true, because at the Bad Blood pay-per-view in '97, where the first ever Hell in a Cell match took place between The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, Kane debuted in one of the best debuts in the history of wrestling. He just came out, and he was just an intimidating force. Like, he was built up on like his muscle mass was huge, and he wore the really cool mask, like the red and black mask and all that, and he just took the hinges of the door in the Hell in a Cell and just ripped it off. Stared Undertaker in the face and just hit the tombstone on him, costing him the match. And then he would just go on a tear through various WWF superstars until The Undertaker would fight him, but Undertaker was like, no, I can't face my own flesh and blood, basically. And so there was a moment where it looked like Undertaker and Kane were on the same page. I think Disciples of Apocalypse and some other tag teams went to go after Undertaker and Kane, and so they both helped each other out, and they took out the other teammates. But that would be short-lived, as Kane turned on The Undertaker after the Royal Rumble match he had, the casket match against Shawn Michaels for the WWF title. He would chuck Undertaker into the casket and set it on fire, because Kane is a lovely person. And that would be enough to enrage The Undertaker. He would bust through the coffin on Raw, and so Kane would use his like freaky superpowers. He was using them on people, which it was a bit cheesy, but it's also like kind of cool, I guess. And so the flames are like shooting up, and he's walking through it, and Taker's like, I will walk through the fires of hell to face you, Kane. Like, the storyline was like a bit cheesy and all that, but still, it was really cool. But yeah, the storyline was like, for many people who don't like wrestling for how it's unrealistic and stuff like that, they're probably not going to like that storyline. But for someone like me who doesn't mind wrestling being a little bit ridiculous at times, this is all cool with me. So, baseball legend Pete Rose was meant to be the special guest ring announcer for this match, but he basically just told the Boston crowd, hey, guess what? Your baseball team, the Red Sox, they fucking suck. And he was running down the crowd until Kane came out and tombstoned him. The crowd goes nuts, by the way. They don't give a shit if Kane is a heel. Pete Rose is a cunt to them, and so seeing that happen to them was just a huge pop. That would be like if a member of the New South Wales football team got like tombstoned in Queensland. Like, that would be brilliant. And so both men start things off by punching each other and evenly getting some offense in. And while the ref was distracted, Kane used some of the steel steps on Taker, and then Bear even threw a cheap punch at him. He even locked in a front face lock for a good portion of the match until Kane booted him out of the ring, and he went for a crazy... You know how Undertaker does that crazy dive over the top rope? He does that to Kane, but completely misses and just goes through the Spanish announce table, which, God, that would have hurt, man. So, Taker goes for a tombstone, but then Kane reverses into a tombstone himself, but Taker kicks out, and then he chokeslams Kane, and then tombstones him, but Kane kicks out, goes for a leg drop and gives him a second tombstone, but then he kicks out again. But after the third attempt at a tombstone, he finally gets the win against Kane. But that wasn't the end of it. Paul Bear went into the ring and tried to hand Kane a chair, but then Undertaker punches Bear in the face. Kane smacks Taker with the chair and tombstones it on it, but Taker still gets up. I thought this match was great. I thought this match was great. The build-up to it was fucking awesome. A bit ridiculous, but that's what I kind of like about wrestling. It's a little bit ridiculous. And this was the good kind of ridiculous, this feud, with all the superpowers and just them shooting fireballs at each other and stuff in the build-up. It was a bit silly, but I loved it. And the match itself was really damn good. Undertaker's suicide dive, though, was just nuts, man. Obviously, I don't know, it's up there with his WrestleMania 25 dive when he just took out the cameraman, basically. But, yeah, great stuff overall in this match. I really had a lot of fun watching it. And then we get to the main event for the WWF Championship. Special guest enforcer, Iron Mike Tyson, the most controversial figure in the history of boxing. After Stone Cold won the 1998 Royal Rumble, he got to face Shawn Michaels for the championship, and Tyson was made the enforcer of the match. And then Austin confronted him in one of the most famous moments in the history of Monday Night Raw. The two had a stare down, exchanged some words, and had a massive pull-apart brawl, because I remember just JR screaming, Tyson and Austin! Tyson and Austin! All hell's broken loose! Which was just one of the best moments in Raw history. And so then it was revealed that Tyson had joined DX, so it looked like he was basically going to screw over Stone Cold. And as for Shawn Michaels, he was not in a good place at the time. He was popping pills left, right, and center. Just because his back was in a shitload of pain after his casket match with The Undertaker. He got thrown out of the ring, and his back just landed on the edge of the casket. Like, if you ever seen that match, it looks brutal. So, also, he was a very pissed off egomaniac as well. He was a bit of a dickhead during this time, because not only with the whole battery getting thrown at this head thing, like at the WrestleMania 14 press conference, he like burst through the door and had a bit of an exchange with Vince, like a verbal exchange. A lot of people were concerned that Michaels may not even make it to the match or something like that. So Michaels came out to a live version of the DX theme song, and then Stone Cold came out to a massive ovation from the crowd. And so when the match began, the two fought in the ring, and eventually they fought around where the DX band set was. Triple H and Chyna even got ejected by ringside because the ref, they didn't want to see anyone fuck up this match. And the match itself was one of my favorite main events in WrestleMania history. These two guys, and like props to Shawn Michaels as well, for just with a broken back wrestling the entire match like it was nothing. It just goes to show you how amazing of a performer Shawn Michaels is. Obviously, the match could have been a teeny weeny bit better, but still, the match was still great overall. But he aims for Austin's bad leg. He even rams it into the ring post a few times. He gets thrown over the commentary table and gets locked in a figure four. Then Austin reverses the pressure. Michael hits the elbow drop from the top rope and goes to set up Sweet Chin Music. Then Austin ducks, tries to go for the stunner, but then Michaels blocks it into another attempted super kick. But then Austin blocks that, hits the stunner. Love the ending of this match. It was fucking great. Hits the stunner, and the Austin era has begun. Stone Cold! Stone Cold! Yes, he wins the WWF Championship, and wrestling is never the same again. Michaels gets pissed off at Mike Tyson, you know, for losing basically, and just Tyson just knocks him out with a right hand. One of the most just wasn't like in ring wise, it wasn't like amazing or anything, but it was still a great match. It was one of the best main events in WrestleMania history because of how kind of historic it was, just especially with the rise of Stone Cold. This was the night where he became the biggest star in the company and would just go to heights that were just not even possible when it comes to superstardom. He was basically the 90s Hulk Hogan, but instead of eating his vitamins and saying his prayers, he was swilling beers and flipping the finger at authority. So, yeah, perfect for the time period. Just great ending to a great WrestleMania. So that's how you ended the show. Match of the night, just talked about it. It was Stone Cold versus Shawn Michaels for the WWF title. How I'm going to rate this show? I'm going to give this show an 8 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed this WrestleMania. There wasn't really a bad match on this show. There was no bad matches at all. All the matches were like decent. Like the worst match on the show was like a decent quality. The rest were either really fun or really damn good matches. Like even the Taka Michinoku Aguila light heavyweight title match was still really fucking good. Very underrated as well. But yeah, just a great WrestleMania, and it would eventually become the start of the Attitude Era. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below your thoughts on WrestleMania 14. If you want to see more from me, hit that subscribe button. You'll be glad you did. Twitter and Instagram's at JackManLaw if you want to check me out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I am out in 3, 2, 1.